Let's update you right here on the Monty Show. We have a Pac-12 legal update for you, and a settlement is not imminent, and this is a significant change in tone, which is why we feel like this is a big story today. We feel like it is the lead story today because we had been hearing from our sources in the Pac-12 that there was an imminent settlement. And when I say imminent, I want to detail that. They were making progress in negotiations, the Pac-12, meaning the 10 exiting members of the Pac-12 and the 2 remaining members, Washington State and Oregon State, were making headway in their negotiations. You heard it here first on the Monty Show that they went into mediation with an arbiter, and it felt like they were heading in the right direction. Well, sources told us last night that, in fact, they were not close to a settlement, and it feels like this is going to drag on, and it is going to get perilously close to a court date. Now, there are most who believe in this situation that the exiting 10 members' legal strategy is to simply drag this out as long as possible and force Washington State and Oregon State, if they really want to hang on to the brand and the rights to the Pac-12, that they are going to have to pay a significant amount of money in these NCAA tournament units. And there is a varying degree of how much money that is. I am told it is $60 million in NCAA tournament money. But now one of the newer updates today is that these 10 exiting members of the Pac-12 want the equity that they have in their minds invested in the infrastructure of the Pac-12 conference, including a brand new refurbished studio suite for Pac-12 network production of games, of features. That's all brand new, and it was paid for by all 12 members, all of the equipment, all of the broadcast trucks, all of that infrastructure that remains behind in the Pac-12. The exiting 10 members want their pound of flesh on that, and this feels like it is going to drag on and take time. Jake, do you still hold the opinion that this does not get to court?
Yeah, I mean, I just can't believe for, the 2 remaining schools' sake that they would allow it to get there. But ultimately, what we also know is that if it were to get there, they have plans. They have backup plans and strategies that would include scheduling alliances and partnerships with the Mountain West to, ensure their future for next season. So to me, I look at this situation and I still think it's best case to settle this thing. Let's get this taken care of and then move along. But the problem with that is that you're right. People do want their pound of flesh. They do want their value, even though they technically left the conference. So that's what's making it a really difficult situation. As I've been saying, people never just leave money on the table. They're never just like, all right, cool. Yeah, we broke the bylaws of the conference, if you will, and it says we don't have a vote anymore. So yeah, we're just going to say sayonara to that, $10 million we're owed. No, they're not going to do that. They are going to fight to the end to get that. And so does it get settled? It doesn't seem that way now, but I still maintain that that's the best case scenario for everyone involved.
Yeah, I completely disagree. I think that there's no chance, and when I say no chance, very little chance that this settles now. I mean, I think it is very clear that the 10 remaining members are going to play hardball, which is something that I think has caught a good number of people by surprise, because I think it was simply a matter of what is it going to take, and I think it was going to take a $6 million payment to the 10 exiting members, and Washington State and Oregon State were not going to get NCAA tournament units. And I think most people thought that's what this was going to come down to, and that was going to settle it. Turns out that's not going to settle it. And I think that what these 10 members of the Pac-12 are trying to do is they're trying to bleed Oregon State and Washington State dry. And I have to tell you, I'd probably do the same thing, because there is a bit of desperation now in the lead that Jake just sold out for you. Oregon State and Washington State, according to our sources, do in fact have a scheduling alliance. As we've reported on the show, there is a framework in place with the Mountain West to have a scheduling alliance if in fact there is no ability to have a merger. And most people believe that January 1st is the drop dead date. If you don't have something done in the calendar year 2023, you're not going to be able to pull off a merger before the business year ends, if you don't have this done by the end of the calendar year. So it feels like January 1st, if we get there and there is no merger between the Mountain West and the two remaining members of the Pac-12, it feels like next year it'll be the Pac-2 and a scheduling alliance with the Mountain West Conference that is essentially going to cripple the Pac-12's ability, Oregon State and Washington State, to have any access to the college football playoff unless they go undefeated. Because at that point, you're basically an independent. Think about where BYU was a year ago before they got into the Big 12, where you're scheduling the best possible opponents that you can, but you know that you have zero margin for error because the Pac-12 will not be recognized with an automatic qualifier. If, in fact, you have a situation where you are going to only have two members in a conference, I think the College Football Playoff Committee is not going to hand out an automatic qualifier to the Pac-12. And we've talked about this on the show before. You can do a 6 auto bid or a 5 auto bid. I think you're doing a 5 auto bid at that point. It'll be what's known as a 5-7 split, as we talked about. And I think this will satiate most people in college football and the larger number of people on the committee. I don't believe that the Pac-12 will have an automatic qualifier. And this goes back to Kirk Schultz and this belief that Kirk Schultz holds the hammer over the College Football Playoff Committee. And again, I'm just going to tell you, that's completely not the case. Kirk Schultz has very little leverage over the College Football Playoff Committee because if the Pac-12 is simply the Pac-2 and there is no merger in place, Kirk Schultz has almost no sway. Does he have a vote? Well, yeah, he has a vote. But the problem is he is going to be a man amongst himself. And in that case, you really have no leverage. He's not going to be able to pull 2 other people, and he's certainly not going to be able to pull the G5 because if the G5 are to vote in favor of a 6-6, they're taking a spot away from themselves, which I would say, why would you do that? And here's the other problem. If you are Gloria Nevarez in the Mountain West, aren't you voting for a 5-7? Well, I think you certainly are until you merge with the Pac-12. And a year from now, you're going to be voting for a 6-6. And it's going to be very interesting to see if that incarnation of a conference winds up pulling an auto qualifier, because I think it's going to be very difficult to put the horse back in the barn once they go 5-7. And the problem with that, and I think this is what these 10 exiting members of the Pac-12 know, once that automatic qualifier is taken off the board for the Pac-12, I don't think you ever get it back. It is going to be very difficult to reacquire that automatic qualifier. And people are going to say to you, well, they have 2 years to get back to 8 teams. That's great on paper, but what does it mean? What does it actually mean in practical application? You merge with the Mountain West. What does that actually mean? It means you're not recognized, the Pac-12, as a P5 conference. So they're not thinking about you in those terms. They're looking at the 4 power conferences and the highest ranked G5 getting automatic qualifiers. And then they're going to hand out 7 at-large bids. And I think if you're Oregon State and Washington State, you better damn well win the Mountain West Conference. And if you don't do that in 2 years, I don't see any way to have a seat at the table. That's what the 10 exiting members are using as leverage. So I don't see a way around that. I don't see a way to fix that. And I think the inability, and if it does go to court, I just don't see a win here for these 2 schools.
Yeah, and that's what I think is tough. I think initially there was a lot of, when we first started out in this conversation, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, there was a lot of incentive for these 2 to kind of figure it out. And obviously there was a lot of speculation about how the 10 who left would handle this. And hey, are they more in the standpoint of we just want our money and we want to move on, or how they were going to deal with it? And as usual, I again, not to hurt anyone's feelings, we said, hey, the 10 who are leaving are going to play hardball. It's not up to the 2 who stayed, because the 2 who stayed are not in new conferences. So the clock is ticking. And yes, technically they have till 2026, technically, but you're not going to sit around here and have a conference with 2 teams in it and think you're going to do well. That's not going to be a product that's going to make you a lot of money or put you in a strong position. So that's why I say, ultimately, we can sit around and talk about who's got the stronger case, but as usual, it's got nothing to do with what a judge thinks. It's about the realities of the world you live in and who has the leverage. And that's why I say the 10 who left had the leverage because they've already got a new conference. They've already got TV contracts. They've already got the cushy new house to live in.
Guaranteed revenue, man.
Yeah. So like, that's why I say for the two remaining, it was always in your best interest to say, okay, we've got this pile of cash that's made up of 3 different parts, tournament shares, assets in the Pac-12, yada, yada. We all know that story. We've got this pile of cash. How can we solve this problem as fast as possible so we can get on to the business of figuring out what our future is? And they're unwilling to do what needs to be done to send off these 10 schools. Yeah. And I understand it's not a great answer. It's not certainly one that these two would like, but I'm telling you, they are in no position to drag this thing on and go to some court battle. That's not going to work.
I don't know what you do. I think that Oregon State is probably the real loser here because you have all the momentum in the world. And it's just really unfortunate that Oregon State hung on a little too long. Oregon left the conference and you essentially got left in the lurch. And I don't know that I would call Oregon State a victim. I think that's probably strong, but I think you have to play the cards that you're dealt now. And I think if you are Oregon State and Washington State, you've got to find a way to keep this out of court. That is as simple as I can put it. And I think you're in dire straits right now. I think you have to do everything you can do to find a merger with the Mountain West as soon as you can. I mean, they clearly want to be in business with you. I think we've been reporting this all the way back as far as early August, that you knew that when this Pac-12 fell apart, that you were going to be in trouble, Oregon State and Washington State. And I think you needed to be a little more aggressive. I think Kirk Schultz was in an impossible situation because he doesn't have a deep Rolodex and he doesn't have a lot of relationships. And so I don't know that Washington State had anywhere to go. And I don't think that you're talking about, a conference where money's growing on trees for these two teams. It isn't. You need somehow, some way to either have the Mountain West come to you or you need to go to the Mountain West, one way or the other. The ideal scenario here for these two remaining members, Oregon State and Washington State, is to have the Mountain West come and merge with you and keep that Pac-12 brand alive, because I do think in that situation, there is a very good chance you keep your auto qualifier. I think there's a real good chance. The problem is you're not going to make money because the issue that you're never going to get away from here is Oregon State and Washington State don't make money in basketball. You're not a perennial powerhouse. You're not somebody that makes deep tournament runs. So you're not getting units. You are somebody that goes to on the regular bowl. Oregon State certainly is a power in college football. But when you're just the two of you and your scheduling alliance is going to be with the Mountain West, and I think you're going to hope to play some non-con games next year, you're going to have to find, and every game will be a non-con game at that point, but you're going to have to find some nameplates that'll put you on your schedule. And I know that they're working on that. I've been told that repeatedly. And I think Scott Barnes is the exact right athletic director to have in this situation because he's got deep relationships, especially across the West. So my guess is that you will be able to find a big highly ranked team to play. You're going to have to probably go on the road to do that. But I think Oregon State's going to be fine. I would be far more trepidatious if I were a Washington State fan. Far more, because I just don't see that you have the relationships required to schedule really significant, impactful games when it comes to a 12-team college football playoff, at least not for next year, because there's no reason to believe that Oregon State's not good enough to qualify for a 12-team college football playoff. If that were happening this year, Oregon State would have every opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're a quality team, and that's why I've been saying, to Oregon State fans specifically, like, you have a future here. You just need to find your way through this mess of a financial situation left in the conference, and that's where I wonder. Obviously, I don't know for a fact, but that's where I wonder what the philosophy and what the angle is for these two schools. Because I sit here and I say, man, like, you guys are kind of acting based on what we were being told that, like court's an option and you can kind of be, you can kind of play hardball, as everyone likes to call it. And like, you can kind of put up a fight. And I don't know that that's the best way forward. Now, clearly you're unhappy with how much these 10 who left are asking for. And I get that. But ultimately, what's more valuable to you? Your future, if you're Oregon State, a team that can get into the college football playoff, a team that's widely respected, a team that honestly could probably be on the field with 9 out of 10 schools outside of like the top 3 or 4 in the country. Right. So what's more valuable, being right and getting paid through this whole thing, or taking a little bit less and securing your future forward? And that's what I wonder when I hear, hey, a settlement's not close. What's the future of this situation look like? Because they're not going to settle. Well, the future is pretty clear, right? If you're not going to settle, we know where this is headed, which is a long drawn out court situation. So I guess they're comfortable. They feel like they have a strong enough case based on the legal documents, and they feel like they can go to court and win. But again, I'm just telling you, and I'm not a lawyer, right? Not a legal professional, but it seems pretty straightforward to me that the 10 who left may have no say or no vote on the board. But if you can never get to that decision in time, what does it matter?
Yeah, this is a leverage situation.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt about that. I mean, it is in my mind, how much of these NCAA tournament units are Washington State and Oregon State willing to negotiate on? And I'm told that they were willing to take none of that, as long as they got to control the assets and the equity that's in the conference. And these 10 members are like, no, that's not going to do it. And I probably would have had the same answer, frankly, if I were the 10 members, because I understand the argument that these 10, are leaving the conference. And what say do you have when you're leaving the conference? They put a hell of a lot of money into those assets. And I don't know that I would just want to be walking away either. And I don't think you went to court necessarily if you're Washington and the other 9 that filed briefs behind Washington in the state of Washington, because you wanted to go to court. You wanted to negotiate. You wanted to go to arbitration. You wanted to get to the table so that you could get as much cash back out of the Pac-12 as possible, because your debts are paid. You're now talking about equity, and that equity is NCAA tournament money and the infrastructure that currently exists in the conference that has been heavily invested in by all 12 of these teams or universities, excuse me. So I understand why these 10 members want to fight about it. I don't know that there's anything Washington State and Oregon State can do, really, unless they want to give up a whole lot of money. And I don't think you're in a position to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think you're in a position to do that. All right. What's up? Shout out to everybody. Appreciate all the comments. We're over 800 comments already today. Always a good way to start the show is shouting out our newest member, Tim Eddington.
Let's go, Tim.
What's up, Tim Eddington? Good to see you. Appreciate you becoming a member of the show. Why is that relevant? Because now, Tim, if you get to our good friends at soundsleepmedical.com/Monty and sign up for their free sleep study, you get 10-to-1 entries for our Las Vegas Raiders drive away to see the Raiders and the all of a sudden upstart 49er ass-kicking Minnesota Vikings on December 10th in Las Vegas. You get 2 tickets to see the Raiders take on the Vikings, 2 nights at the Flamingo, dinner for 2 at Mastro's Ocean Club in the Treehouse, and you also get a show, and we're working on a show that happens to be involved with the Knicks and their jersey sponsor and stuff. It's going to be a great 2 days in Vegas for you. The way you win, the way you qualify for this, soundsleepmedical.com/Monty. You guys, snoring's a big deal, and a lot of people think that snoring and sleep apnea are the same thing. They're absolutely not. But the best part is Sound Sleep Medical can cure both. They can help you with your snoring. They can help you with your sleep apnea, and it has nothing to do with a CPAP machine. It has nothing to do with hard, big, bulky items that you don't want to travel with because you're embarrassed. No, in fact, it's just the opposite. It's Sound Sleep Medical.
Treat snoring and sleep apnea with no masks and no tubes. Just better, healthier sleep with Sound Sleep Medical. Use code MONTY, M-O-N-T-Y, to schedule a free sleep assessment today.
That's right. Sound Sleep Medical presents our Las Vegas Raiders Drive Away. The free sleep assessment, by the way, you go to their website, soundsleepmedical.com/Monty. It's at home. You can go to any of their Utah locations. They'll give you a ring to put on your finger and a box that sits on your chest. It measures your sleep. It measures whether or not you snore. They're going to know if you have sleep apnea. And if you don't know, sleep apnea can kill you every single night. When you ignore your sleep apnea, you go to bed, you might not wake up. So figure out, hey, am I just somebody that snores or do I have sleep apnea? And put your relationship back together, because your wife can actually come back in the room, or maybe she's the one that snores, because a lot of women snore. I think most people try to hang the snoring tag on the guys. Trust me when I say a lot of women in this country snore. Thanks to our friends at soundsleepmedical.com/Monty. Sign up today and win your chance. And if you are a member of the show on YouTube, at any level, you get 10-to-1 entries to win the Las Vegas Drive Away when you sign up for your soundsleepmedical.com sleep evaluation. If you are a top tier member for $10 a month and you sign up for the sleep exam, you get 25-to-1 entries to win the Las Vegas Raiders Drive Away. Hook it up. Main event. Receive the Buckshot Shaker package today. Rainbow Rush. Let's go. Main event. Yeah, not to over sponsor you guys, but good Lord. Maybe I need this today. Here it is. Buckshot. Bucked Up, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. You guys know I'm back in the gym 5 days a week.
It's tough, bro.
It is
really
tough. Getting up at 5 a.m., being in the gym at 5:30. I cannot tell you how sore I am today. You know that soreness that comes along, but I can tell you, getting up that early, Bucked Up's pre-workout. I use their pre-workout, which is right there on the table. You guys can see it here. This is Callum von Moger's Aussie Fruit pre-workout. Get it at BuckedUp.com. Their supplement of the week is their creatine monohydrate at BuckedUp.com. Use the promo code Monty, save 20% off, or you could just get yourself some Buckshot. How about Buckshot for free? In the description of the show below, click the link, have it sent right to your front door.
Let's go.
It is the single best energy supplement you're ever going to use. It is 200 milligrams of naturally sourced caffeine, a bunch of nootropics that are essentially brain food that help you think better, gives you mental clarity. Put them in the refrigerator, pop them cold, and trust me when I say, if you have an Excel spreadsheet, a pivot table, a conference call, a long drive home, maybe you just need to finish we have a ton of Amazon drivers that listen to the show while they work. Maybe you guys just need that extra lift. Buckshot from Bucked Up, that's the way to go. Cheers to you, my friends. It is a beautiful thing. I love the blue raz. I'm really vacillating.
Okay.
Back and forth between watermelon and blue raz, and I love the blue raz. So hook it up at BuckedUp.com. Boss Frog, getting up at 5 a.m., Monty. I'm already in the office, dude. I wake up at about 4:45. Out of bed at 5 o'clock. Leave the house at 5:20. At the gym by 5:30. Back at home by 6:30, and usually in the office. Today I was a little later. Usually in the office at 8 o'clock, and then I don't get home until about 7 o'clock. So it's a day, but you know what? It is. I am not complaining. I am happy. I am healthy. I am thinner. Losing a bunch of weight, being healthier and happier and thinner. It's all good. Gumby Fresh Out says only casuals get up at 5 a.m. Dude, wow. Getting up at when we did mornings, we used to get up at 3 o'clock. I was out of bed at 3:30 every day. Awake casual. At 3 o'clock. In the shower, out of the shower by 4. It is rough.
Yeah,
it is rough. It is not easier, man. iPatch says first world problems. Boss Frog says, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, well, you're at work already. And Donuts, Brady Hoke equals dead man walking. Okay. Jeff Woodworth, Amazon drivers don't pee in a Buckshot. Friendly advice.
Right.
It is not an easy job. Just giving you some hell. Indeed you are, Boss Frog, and I appreciate you for it. Tim Eddington, I go to bed at 3 sometimes, man. That's wild. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is not easy getting out of bed, dude, that early. It's not healthy for you.
No, it's not. It's too early.
It's not. My life is so much improved. Gumby fresh out, 2:30 a.m. day. Freeway 3:30, lunch at 7 a.m.
Damn.
Bless you, my friend. Real Wade Nation gaming clips. Hey, Monty, can we say Astros are overrated? Yeah. Best of luck to a really good dude in Dusty Baker who has treated me incredibly well over my career. Dusty Baker retired yesterday, said this season will be his last. So Astros are done. No matter what you think of the Astros, it was a great ride. Really thrilled for our friends in Dallas, Arlington, the Texas Rangers. What a run they've had. Boch has done a great job there. Philadelphia Phillies, come on, man. You are my prize pick gods today.
Need you.
OG says I'm up at 4:30 a.m. The Buffalo Hunter, that's why Boss has the Porsche. Yes, sir. I'm telling there was a study that came out, an article about a study that came out that said people who sleep past 7 a.m. live shorter, more unhealthier lives.
Mm-hmm.
That people who get up early live healthier lives. It's very good. Haven't tried the Woke AF one yet. I'm telling you, the BuckedUp pre-workout is the best in the world. And I'm not saying that because they advertise on the show and they're partners of ours. Callum Von Moger, when he was in studio, gave us a bunch of his pre-workout. And I've always evangelized for BuckedUp pre-workout. If you take any of the other crappy brands that are out there, they're just loaded with a bunch of garbage.
Because it's garbage.
BuckedUp uses just incredible ingredients. The best ingredients that make the best products that do exactly what they say. 1939 says, I get up at 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. for the Monty Show. Well, I love that.
There you go.
Love that. Cam Harrison, I remember when the show was early in the morning with 7,000 subscribers. Yeah, how about us at 41,000 subscribers now?
Yes, sir.
Phil Venzer, what's worse, Monty losing Prize Picks or Mattress Mac losing Astros bet?
I'm going to say Mattress Mac, considering that was $70 million, bro.
Bro, screw Mattress Mac. I got piped on Prize Picks again last night. My baseball winning streak is over. I am all in on my goddamn left fielder, Kyle Schwarber, tonight. PrizePicks.com. Use the promo code Monty to get 100% deposit matching. We'll tell you what those are coming up in 28 minutes. The Tater Man. Astros will always be known as a dirty, cheating MLB. Do you guys think that's what they'll always be known for?
I think it's definitely always going to be in the back of your head. I think I was very interested by the fact that, Fox, went ahead and said, hey, it's been a decade of dominance now. Like the garbage can thing was more than 5 years ago. They're a really good organization. And hey, some people might feel that way. My stance is that a lot of the players that were there when that went down are still there. Jose Altuve.
Is Jose Altuve a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes, he will get voted in first ballot.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. Boyd Lake, early or late, get a good 7 or 8 hours every night, and you'll be ahead of the game. 6 hours last night, and all I did is pee all night long. When you start, I've been back in the gym for 2 full weeks now. Did my first heavyweight session this week, Monday, Tuesday. Yesterday was chest. Today was back and biceps. Ooh.
And tomorrow we're golfing.
Yeah, good luck. We're here for a good time, Monty, not a long time. Well, I'm here for a long time with a good time. Jeff Woodworth, Ollie Gordon gets up at 5:30 every day, but he doesn't fall asleep till 5:29. I know, Ollie Gordon is I got so many DMs yesterday. What did Ollie Gordon ever do to you? Why do you hate Ollie Gordon? I don't hate Ollie Gordon. I think he's a great running back. He's not a Heisman Trophy candidate. Sorry. Mike Smith, no. Never root for any sports team in Philly. Hell no teams in Pennsylvania. I'm a Kyle Schwarber guy.
No.
That's my dude. That is my dude. Mardino87, trucker here. Appreciate your hard work. Helps get through the day. I appreciate you, Mardino.
I appreciate you.
Thanks for keeping the country moving. Payson Cougar fan. My mom is 97 and gets up at noon.
Hey, I'm
man.
with it.
I hope I'm 97 at some point. Boyd Lake, the SEO king of America. Strohs will need to get some good help at manager. It's going to be tough to replace Dusty. It's going to be tough to replace Dusty. Hawkeye fan in Indy. Early morning people live longer because we deal with less people during the day. Amen to that. Amen to that. Marcus says everything is based on genetics. Well, most of it, but there's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do. Jim Choi, immaculate. Yep, no gains for now, but the Cal State got 3 schools in the Mountain West. I have no idea what you're talking about. What did I miss? I don't know what I missed. Got 3 schools in the Mountain West. They may block anything to do with the PAC-2. I have no idea where that's coming from, but nobody's blocking the PAC-2. You're just not going to get an auto qualifier.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form. Stroh's just hired Harbaugh to help her scout other teams. Exactly. Rodriguez, what's up, Mike? Good to see you. I get up at 7 a.m. and am not ashamed of it. Man, 7 a.m. would be, my God. The eye patch says naps. Stu says, and trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
What an unbelievable scandal. Giggity, screw Mattress Mac and the cheaters. Wow. Wow.
Unbelievers.
RJC, man, I'm bowling, boys. Can we please talk about something interesting? Okay. Well, I'm sorry if we're uninteresting. You know, it is what it is. That's fine. Let's see. Adam Salamini, 5 a.m. Club. Great book. Okay. On the Schwarber bandwagon as well. He's an old schooler and a Chicago Cub.
Yeah, and he doesn't run from who he is as a hitter. Doesn't hit for average. He's all or nothing, and I love that about him.
Yep. Immaculate says, if Pac-2 get an NCAA waiver, they will qualify. They're not getting a waiver. And I think we have to be, this is something that comes up a lot, and we get asked about stuff like this all the time. There is no waiver for the Pac-2. They have a very straightforward set of standards they have to operate by. So they have 2 years to get back up to 8. If the Pac-12, who knows what happens with this legal battle? I have no idea. If they want to keep the Pac-12 alive, they have 2 years to get 8 teams. That's the requirement. So they have to go out and find 6 more teams, or they have to merge with the Mountain West, which seemingly that's already been agreed to on multiple fronts, as we've been telling you since August. The hard part is they're like, this is the immaculate, with all due respect, this is the $350 trillion coming to that was never happening. There is no golden parachute that's going to save Oregon State and Washington State. There is no Big 12 has to take them in. The Big 12 doesn't have to take them in. The issue very clearly is they've chosen a path, and they thought one result would come their way, and it has not happened with a settlement. And so now they're in a position where they provide value to the Mountain West. That's their huckleberry, because they provide value. They bring a P5 presence into the Mountain West. Whether you call that the Pac-12, the Mountain 12, your mom's 12, whatever you want to call it, that's what the situation is. There are no waivers. That's not a real thing. So if you want to go, I mean, that you can roll on that. That's up to you. Let's see. Mike Smith, I got a waiver once. Not sure why PAC cannot get one. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, 2 years. The waiver is for postseason competition. They're immaculate. With all due respect, there is no waiver for postseason competition. It hurts my head when you have to understand the College Football Playoff Committee is going to adjudicate this. There is no waiver. None. They're going to decide who gets automatic qualifiers and who doesn't. That's the black and white, the way the system is put in place. There is no waiver that says, well, so what would the waiver even say? And this is my question.
Mm-hmm.
What would the waiver even say? And I've asked a former conference commissioner, 5 TV people, Pac-12 people, like as many people as I can ask, because there's a bunch of people DMing me saying, hey, what about a waiver? Nobody knows what the waiver is. It does not exist in the NCAA. It is very clear. You either qualify through an AQ or you have to play your way to an automatic qualifier, to an at-large bid, excuse me. And the biggest problem is for Washington State and Oregon State, they have not traditionally, and Oregon State seems to be breaking this barrier now.
Right.
Oregon State and Washington State have not traditionally played at a level high enough to earn an at-large bid.
Facts.
Okay, so we're looking at a situation where TV ratings matter. And when we talk about this situation with Oregon State and Washington State, I want you guys to consider this. How important are TV ratings? How important are they? What does it mean when we're talking about this Pac-12 situation?
Mm-hmm.
Right here is what it means. These are the Week 8 college football ratings. Penn State and Ohio State. Let's just round that up to 10 million. 9.9 million people watched on Fox. An SEC game, the game of the week on CBS, was almost 2 million viewers behind. And you can just go down the list. And the thing that really stands out to you is, look how big the decline is, even to Michigan State. Look at Washington State and Oregon, down at 2.35 million. So the question that has to be asked here is, what's the value of an Oregon State bowl game? Can they outdraw Oklahoma State, West Virginia, who just cracked 1 million? Can they outdraw Air Force and Navy at 1.21 million? What a game with Oregon State and Washington State. I think it probably would.
Yeah, I think obviously it depends who they're playing, but yeah,
Right?
I think so. I think a lot of people have said, hey, the Pac-12, like a lot of people want to make jokes, the Pac-12 picked the wrong year to have the best year they've ever had because Washington State and Oregon State have played really well this year by this standard that we're talking about. So yeah, I think if we're looking at it this year, certainly I think they'd outdraw like like you said, like an Air Force, Navy, or like, some, just a lower cut of school.
So here's the problem. 2 really bad teams in the Big Ten, Minnesota and Iowa's not a bad team, but 2 small markets, and Minnesota's not good, drew 1.68 million.
Yeah.
UCF and Oklahoma were at 2.1 million. I don't think Oregon State and Washington State are getting to 2 million. I don't think you're going to draw the 2.35 that Oregon drew, that the 3 million Texas drew in Houston, Utah, USC at 3.2 million. I don't think you're getting there. And that's my concern. And again, here's my question. When we talk about this mythical, it doesn't exist waiver, why would you give a waiver to Oregon State and Washington State? Why would you give them an at-large bid? When if we look at when we look at the top 25 teams in the country, well, let's look at who's 13th. Look like, okay, right now, look at Oregon State right there at 11th. If this is a year from now and the season ends, and you're 11th, you're in the college football playoff, I would think.
Yeah.
Right? But here's the other problem. Are you going to be able to get yourself to 11th with the schedule you're going to end up playing? Because that's really going to be the ball breaker. Because Ole Miss, Utah, certainly Notre Dame, certainly LSU, certainly Missouri, certainly, I wouldn't say North Carolina now. All of those teams, Missouri, LSU, Notre Dame, Utah, and Ole Miss, would get the benefit of the doubt over an Oregon State or a Washington State, just on strength of schedule alone.
Right.
So what's the waiver going to do for you? Even if it is a real thing, which I'm telling you, it's not real. Even if it's a real thing, what's the benefit of getting a waiver? Aren't you better off taking the route that a Boise State took or a Utah took all those years ago, being the original BCS busters? Because you look at this list, There's nobody else on this list. JMU. You think JMU's getting a waiver? They're undefeated. Do you think Tulane's getting a waiver? What separates you from JMU or Tulane or Air Force? Nothing. Nothing separates you. You just got to win your way in. So this idea that you're going to get some mythical waiver that does not exist, that's the issue at play here. We're making up all this stuff. And I'm not saying immaculate is, but I think in the sphere of, hey, please, help us do something.
Help us justify.
There's this waiver that you have pulled out of midair somewhere. And I'm telling you, again, believe it or not, and I think we've been pretty nails. We talk to a lot of really influential people in this world, and not one of them is aware of a waiver of any kind that exists. You have rules and contracts for a reason. So this idea that there's a waiver, my guy, it just doesn't. He also says if they get a waiver for postseason play, then they are eligible for the college football playoff postseason play. They're already eligible. That's why there's an at-large bid.
Yeah.
There will be 5 automatic qualifiers and 7 at-large. So why do you need a waiver? Why do you need a waiver? Because the college football playoff goes by NCAA decree on this. If they are eligible, then they will get the conference payout. But they won't. Okay, so ask yourself this question then. And I think we're the only ones saying this.
Right.
So maybe I'm totally wrong and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Do you truly believe that the College Football Playoff Committee, who controls this, and again, not to keep kicking you in the balls on this, the NCAA has no say on this. None whatsoever. You are intertwining the two. The College Football Playoff Committee is autonomous. They don't answer to the NCAA. They don't. Who's going to decide who has the automatic qualifiers? Who's going to decide who gets into the college football playoff? Who's going to decide the bowl matchups? That'd be the College Football Playoff Committee. The NCAA has no say on who gets into the college football playoff, which is, again, why I keep trying to tell people there is no waiver. There is no, hey, you're not eligible, but you are. That doesn't exist. Now, is there automatic money that goes to a conference? If you qualify and you get in, the PAC-2 would get your standard, well, I think it's 40 million, something like that. But you get that because you qualified to get into the college football playoff. There is no waiver. And again, I would just remind you, none of this matters right now because you're going to court, it looks like.
Which is why the playoff committee hasn't done anything.
They've met twice, and they officially at the table have not spoken about this. And why is that? Because there's nothing to talk about. Because the overwhelming opinion, which is what we're talking about on the show today, is that the Pac-12, the 10 exiting and the 2 remaining, are not close to a settlement, and we are creeping every day. I think we're 20 days away from going to court. They're creeping ever closer to that court date, which is why we're also, if you're just tuning in today, reporting that the Mountain West, and we've told you this, I know, for weeks, but we were talking to people last night and today who have told us the Mountain West and the Pac-2 have a framework. They have a working relationship in place that covers a number of different eventualities.